Yama hwefoina akwaba na yemfambra Mega TV and platform we eso. Abusia Musa Danquah adrop bio na Musa Danquah adrop say dia na nkrofo ti eyo moya. Ni na eye tracking post. In fact, tracking post system Musa Danquah drop. Ni na eye say o hwe se nyankopɔ ya adom na se 2028 Ghana focus mpie so a sen enomosia ya ahoboasi afa. Sansengwe MPP asne dincho. MPP asne iden edincho. Memiako nyekwa kuti send full details. MPP Dr. Dom Feson tiasie. Intoronso ebe kana adwen. Ena oni Professor Assuming ediesie ni yenko na yenkuti senibi sedie esi F5 esi koye na mesro so unya subscribe ya hanom eya number 1 authentic platform Mega TV kira wadwin e comment section nim subscribe yinti nsema e course yakoba e beto so
polling calendar,
right?
And that calendar says in the first quarter of each year, March, April, second quarter, June, July, third quarter, September, October, fourth quarter, December, we would publish our tracking poll. We call it the National Tracking Poll, quarterly, rain or shine.
Right.
Whether government is in trouble or Ghana is in trouble, that quarterly calendar will be complied with.
Okay.
That is the calendar we've published to the whole world, because the people who consume this data are not just from Ghana here. There are international bodies that consume this data, and that calendar is fixed calendar. It does not matter what is happening in MPP or NDC, we don't care. That report will come out. And if you look at our report, we always refer to the previous period, what we were told by voters in the last period, last quarter, and what they are saying now. So they can have a perspective of what the movement, if any, are in the data. We also provide a tracking data. Sometimes it goes back to 2024, which we have done in this report. We have provided a party affiliation of people openly saying they are MPP or NDC from October 2024 all the way to today. So we can see the trend of the movement that is happening. So we've been doing this more every 90 days, rain or shine.
Oh, that's good. That's great. That's why I had to issue that caveat that I stand to be corrected. And I'm happy that you have set the record straight on this matter. And I'm so grateful for this. Now, what did you seek to find out? How many places or how many constituencies did you, poll the respondents? And also how many regions, what sample method you used, confidence level, etc., margin over a survey type. Walk us through all of that this morning.
Look, in this engagement, we spoke to about 12,472 voters, both in the face-to-face in the field, on telephone, and few also using the web mode. Now, these are random sampling of voters across. We don't target anybody.
Okay.
So the numbers that you see, the natural response from people we met randomly on the street.
Right.
And we have used a 99% confidence level and a margin of error around 1.4%. And as we indicated, the samples were drawn between 5th and 23rd March, which is today.
Okay.
So that is the methodology we've used for ages. In the past, we've only done the field and telephone. Last year, we added the online version because there are certain voters that are also relevant to decision making in this country that we don't see them in the field. Certain class of voters, if you go to places that we go, on normal day, you will meet them. But they are on social media. So we're able to get those views from social media. So we decided to do a multimodal approach methodology to make sure that we have the sample represent every people who have voice in this country. Every person who have voice in this country.
So, and I noticed that, as you rightly said, that the field face-to-face was 60%.
Yeah.
And then the telephone, the telephone methodology or the telephone model was 13%, and the online being 19%. Why did you decide to do more face-to-face? For somebody
because that's where most voters are.
Okay.
Most voters will not be on telephone. We don't have all telephone numbers.
Right.
The phone numbers here are people who have met in the field over the last period that we call them back.
Right.
So for them, we are tracking their poll in the sense of what we call a tracking poll.
Okay.
What we call a longitudinal survey for them. But people in the face-to-face, most people, majority of voters are not on telephone.
Right.
You can't get them on the internet. So
ideally,
they should have the bigger representation from this sample.
And also notice that there are more females. There are more males than females. So you have 59% for males and 49% for females. Of course, that, like you said, is not targeted. It's still random.
It depends on if you look at the face-to-face,
okay,
that will have much more closer percentage.
Okay.
Because in the field, we're able to manage how many women we engage and how many men we engage. Because you can see them physically, facially, and decide, I've done enough men, let me make sure that we are balancing it up with female.
Okay.
When you are doing it on telephone, you can also apply the same thing. But online, you don't determine who responds to the survey online. So the online tend to skew the gender a bit. But broadly, you want to understand the views of those who are on social media. And that's why it's important. So in some cases, if you want to kind of find the true voice of women voters, we adjust the weight to reflect the EC voting population structure.
And then for age groups, 35 to 44 were the highest. 36%.
Yeah.
18 to 24, which is more like the youth group, that's 7%. And then you also have between the 25 to 34 year groups representing 34%. And then 45 to 54 is 16%. 55 to 64, 5%, and the 65 plus 2%. Is there something to say about this?
Yeah, this is consistent in the sense that if you look at people who vote in this country, about 78% of them are 44 and below.
Okay.
If you add this data, it's about 77%. This is 1% shy of what we've come to know. So this is strictly or largely or broadly in line with what you normally see on the street. If you interview people who vote, not generally Ghanaians, voters, people who vote, you'll find out that about 78% of them are 44 years and below, which has a profound implication on what's going to happen in the election, because these guys will determine who becomes the president.
That's interesting. That's the 35 to 44 year groups.
Yes.
Okay.
And below, yes.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, you've been consistent. You've always said that we have an active, a political group, but you have an active voter group, which is more younger, of a younger demographics. Now let's talk about education. So we're still on the demographics. Education, you're saying that you polled more. Okay, so SHS and tertiary are tying with 35% each. And then for JSS, you're looking at 17%. And then you have 13% no formal qualification at all. Doesn't mean they've not been to school at all?
They have been to, but they haven't have qualification.
Yeah, as in certificate, isn't it? They don't have anything at all. Okay.
So, I mean, if you look at this data, the junior high school and the no formal education is almost constant or regular or average with what we've seen in the polls.
Okay.
Now, in this current poll, you see that there is a bit of rise in the people who are tertiary qualification holders, slightly almost at par with senior high. Usually the senior high will be slightly higher, but because of the combined effect of the online voters were more elite.
Right.
So they helped that ratio to go up. But if you go back to the face-to-face, you realize that senior high school will be slightly higher than the tertiary qualification.
Makes sense.
Most important thing is that those without formal qualification, the number is around 10% to 13%. That is the number that is very consistent.
Right. Now let's talk about employment. So 64% of the people you polled are employed. So there's more. You spoke to more people who are employed than those who are not employed. So 24% you're talking about unemployed, 11% were students, and then 2% are pensioners.
think this is broadly consistent with what we've seen in many of the polls. If you take our polls over the last four or previous 3 quarters, you see that these numbers are in line. Usually, if you want to see some of consistency in the data, compare the numbers from last period to this, and see whether there is a big swing or it's within some kind of small movement. And in most cases, you can see that it's in line with what we've been finding out.
Let's talk about religion. So you interacted more with Christians, and that's 71%.
It's no more. They are the number.
Yeah, well. You're right.
I mean, if you step off the street right now,
you're not more Christians. You're more Christians. I think the Ghana Statistical Survey.
Yes.
Shows
I mean, and this is in line with the statistics of GSS.
Yeah, you're right.
A Muslim around 21%. So this means that even if you don't believe in it, look at this demographic. It points to you that look, this is what Ghanaians look like.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So Islam 21%, other religions 1%. Traditional is 4%. Why did you add traditional to other religions?
Other religions are occasional.
Yes,
Sikhs and those ones. We want the traditional people to stand alone. What we've done here to try to reflect our structure of demography with that of the GSS, so that you can compare.
Right. And then those who are non-religious, that's 3%.
Yes.
Okay. Perhaps they are probably agnostics. Where they believe there's a God, but they don't believe in going through anybody, so that's an agnostic. And some other. There's lots of. So, in fact, there are even atheists.
Absolutely.
They don't believe in God at all. Anyway, so there's Islamic sects. Wow, this
and the Christian sects. If you look at from the Christian denominations,
yes,
the Pentecostal are dominant.
Yeah.
About 20% of the people are Pentecostal.
Okay.
Then you have the Catholics, about 19% from the sample we engaged. Methodists, about 19%. Presbyterian about 17%, Charismatics around 14%, Anglican 4%, other groups 4%, SDA 2%, and GW 1%.
Again, it's in line with what I call the national statistics as well. So, and then let's talk about the Islamic sects. What is there to say?
I mean, the Sunnis are the most dominant, about 51%. And then you have the Tijaniya group around 17%, the Ahmadiyya around 14%, other sects around 12%, and Shia around 7%. What I would say that the other sects, mostly there are some Sunnis who don't know that they are Sunnis. So they will tell you they are others. So this is, we have this kind of bit of confusion between the Sunni and other people. So we believe that some of the others are actually Sunnis, but they don't know that they are Sunnis.
That's interesting. Let's now look. You see, the reason why ethnicity for me and the religion factor for me is a very interesting one, because this, of course, I mean, you and I know, and it's not even you and I know, but I think that the records are there to show that the sense is that the NPP tends to enjoy more of their CAN votes, right, as compared to the NDC. And again, NDC tends to enjoy more of the Muslim northern votes as compared to the NPP. So I think that for watchers or consumers of this information must take the movements of the Islamic sect and the ethnicity thing very, very important. So walk us through the ethnicity thing again.
I mean, from the sample we engage,
okay,
46% of them are CANs.
Wow.
If you go to GSS, it's around 47%. So margin of error is 1.4. So it's within the margin of error. Mali Dagbani is about 12% in this sample. Evers around 11%. Other ethnic groups put together 10%. But Ghana Dangbe 9%. The Guan 6%. The Grushi 2%. Gruma 2%. The Mande group 1%. And the Guru near zero. Not zero, but just a fraction.
That's interesting.
And these groupings are in line with the GSS way of grouping the ethnic groups.
Okay. Now we'll revisit this when we return to the summary of the findings. Now let's talk about income levels. What is there to share?
Yeah, we decided this time around to include income level of people we interview.
Oh, so that's a new addition.
This is a new addition we have done. Try to see whether there will be correlation between people's income levels and the choices they make in the end. What choices are the rich guys going to go for? What choices would the lower income people going to go for? It will give us a better insight in our predictions going forward. Okay. So from the sample we engaged, About 28% of them did not tell us how much they earn. They won't tell us. But 20% say they have no income.
Wow.
So they have no income that they can say, okay, I get this every month. No.
So does that suggest they are living on the benevolence of people?
Yes. And hand on daily basis.
Wow. Okay.
And then we have about 20% of them earning less than 10,000 Ghana cedis a year.
Okay. Wow.
And 15% earning between 10,000 and 29,000 or 30,000. 9% earning up to 50,000. 4% between 50 and 70,000. 1% between 70 and roughly 100,000. And only 3% are earning 100,000 and above per annum. So you can slice and dice this data to see, even we come down the line, among people who say they are NDC, how many of them are in this income bracket? And we've done that, I think, in the document. Quite interesting stuff.
Okay, so now walk us through the main party affiliations as data. What have you found out?
Look, these are people, we ask them simple questions. Which political party would you associate yourself with? Do you support? Or which party do you normally vote for in an election?
Okay.
Or normally I vote for NDC. You are an NDC person. Or I call myself an NDC person. Or I vote for MPP. I'm MPP. For me, I vote CPP. You are other parties. Or I support UP. New party is there. And there are those who say, me, I don't have a party. I look at the parties and decide who to vote for in every election. Those are the floating voters. They float from MPP to NDC. And sometimes they can float from floating voter to become NDC or to become MPP. What we will see down the line is that people who may have become, who were calling themselves floating voters, may shift to another party. We have those who say, me, I know, but I won't tell you. I won't disclose. For one reason or the other. And it depends on where that person is. If that person is in the MPP stronghold, and he says, oh, me, I won't disclose, you will suspect that either he is an NDC person who's trying to hide, or he might be an MPP person who is not happy to say that I'm MPP now because of maybe one reason or the other. The same thing, if somebody is in the voter region and he says, I will not disclose, it probably might be an MPP person. Because it's not cool to be in maybe so-called stronghold and be other parties. So there are many reasons for people choosing this option. Okay.
And now you're finding out that in terms of party affiliation,
MPP was 26% in the December poll.
Okay.
Now they've gone to 25% nationally. Small movement, but a very interesting one.
Why?
Because from October 2024, the trajectory of MPP party affiliation has been on constant decline every 90 days. We have not reached a bottom yet. I don't know when that bottom will be reached. But the next slide, you see the slide. Constantly, the party is in decline. You know, in statistics and data analytics, if an event happened first time, it's not a trend. Second time, isn't the trend. Third time, it's a trend. This has gone beyond third times. Several times in every quarter, the number is declining. And that must be a source of worry to any leader of MPP today. When you look at NDC, they were 41% before. Now they've gone to 45%. Those who said they were floating voters, 19 before, now 17. 2% drop. Those who said other parties, largely unchanged, 3%. But those who were not disclosing have declined by 1%. You can see that all those declines went to add up to NDC numbers.
What we don't know is that the 3%, or is it a 4% addition to the NDC, whether these were NPP supporters who have left to join the NDC, or these were floating voters who have decided to now have decided not to become floating voters. So who are they?
Look,
that 4%.
Look, 1% of them are NPP people.
quite clearly from
yes.
from no, but hold on, Musa.
No,
does the fact that
when you come to the regions, you see it clearly.
Cool.
Yet on the national basis, it tends to blur or blind the real movement. When we come to regional numbers, I think it will sink in.
Because I don't want us to assume that the fact that the NPP has dropped by 1% in itself is an automatic addition to the NDC.
Sometimes MPP may decline, and that decline will go to other parties or floating voters or not disclosed.
Yes.
Here you can clearly see
when we get to regional.
Yes. If the decline happened in 3 segments or 3 voting parties, decline in MPP, decline in floating voters, and a decline in those who are not disclosing. Where did they go to? They didn't go to other parties. Or other parties remained at 3%. It didn't change. So the sum of those declines is about 4%. And that 4% is what NDC got.
Interesting. Let's go past these trends in political party affiliations, 3 months moving average with that. Let's now look at, so because you see, the regional party affiliations is important. I think that it would make the picture clearer, on what you said earlier. So walk us through it.
Now, let's look at, there will be some really frightening numbers here to watch. In Ahafu, Ahafu used to be MPP region.
Yes.
Now, NDC is dominant, 45% NDC and 23% MPP in Ahafu. These are one of the Akan blocks. In the Ashanti region, that is where, if you are an MPP this morning, I think the alarm bell should be ringing to you. MPP is 34% in the Ashanti region, unprecedented in our polling history. NDC is 30%. NPP lead NDC by 4 points in the Ashanti region. 23% of Ashanti region voters now say they are floating voters. Currently, if you look at where people who say they are floating voters are in the country, Ashanti region contributes the highest number of people or people who say they are now floating voters. It used to be Central region. No longer Central region. Now it's in the Ashanti region. That must be alarming. You look at the Bono region, Akan region, NDC is 50%, MPP 22%. Bono East, NDC 46%, MPP 23%. In the Central region, which used to be a big floating voters, look at it now. NDC is 57%, MPP 19%. Only 10% today are floating voters in the Central region. Only 10%. That's a big shift. In the Eastern region, another big problem for MPP. 41% of people in their former stronghold or their stronghold say they are now NDC. This has been consistent in the last 2 or so polls in the Eastern region. Only 29% of them are saying they are now MPP. 16% are floating voters. Greater Accra, NDC is 53%, MPP 28%, 13% floating voters. Let's pick Northeast. Northeast, NDC is 36% today, MPP 21%. Northeast region. So if you look at the regions MPP won in the last election, they have now become minority except Ashanti region.
Hey, Northeast region.
Yes.
NDC 36%, MPP 21%.
Yeah.
But
and 21 say they are floating voters.
Wow. But that's where the MPP's flag bearer comes from.
Yes.
That's Dr. Mahmoud Bamia. And yet they've dropped in numbers.
In terms of party affiliation.
In terms of party affiliation.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they will all vote for NDC.
That's true.
But it is the beginning of a problem because people tend to be partisan when they are voting.
Yes.
So if your number is dwindling, it's more likely that on the voting day, they'll vote partisan way.
Okay. All right. So you've given us north. So you've given us northeast. You are now going to northern region.
Yes, northern region.
Okay.
Northern region, NDC 49%, MPP 26%, 18 floating voters. OT, NDC 41%, MPP 15%, 14 are floating voters. In the Savannah region, NDC 41%, MPP 23%, and 17% are floating voters. In the Upper East, NDC 42%, MPP 13, and floating is 30% in Upper East. Upper West, NDC 56%, MPP 21, and floating 6%. In voter region, MPP is 13%, NDC 42%. But look at the floating voters, 23% voter region floating voters. Western region, NDC 44%, MPP 18%, 15 floating voters.
But NDC must be worried, isn't it?
In the voter region, yes. It tells you that you can't take anybody for granted. The same way it's happening in Ashanti region.
23% floating voters.
The same proportion as Ashanti region.
Yes.
Stronghold
Yeah,
of
something very interesting is happening.
It's happening. It means people are becoming a bit, they can live. Party affiliation is not ethnicity. You can't change your tribe.
Yeah.
Or you can change the club you support.
Yeah.
I used to be Chelsea. I am now no team.
No, please. You're still Chelsea. No, you're still Chelsea. You're still Chelsea. Please. It's for better for worse.
Better for worse. So I think people must begin to understand the dynamics of voters within the context of demography. And I think when you get that right, you get many things right.
Wow. Both political parties have to be very, 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 very careful with their strongholds.
They need to employ demographers in their party research.
Wow. Musa, let's go to Western region.
Yes. Western region, look at it.
44% for the NDC.
Yeah.
MPP is 18%. Wow.
Western North, NDC 40%, MPP 18%.
Wow.
Now, what we have done also is to look at the regional blocks, which put things in perspective. For example, swing regions. If you put all the swing together, as we mentioned, NDC is 53% in the swing regions. Greater Accra, Central, and Western. MPP 24%. In the Akan block, that's MPP's base. Akan block. NDC is 41%.
Whoa.
MPP 26%. And this is the most alarming, because if you can't really rally your people in your natural base, where else would you rally them from?
Because Akan block is supposed to, as you said, a natural allies of the NDC.
Yes, that's about 8 regions. The Ahafo, Bono East, Central, Eastern, Ashanti, Western, and Western North. 8 of them.
Wow. And then, so we're now going to look at the Northern Bloc.
Northern Bloc, NDC is 46%, MPP 23%.
What appears to be still in control of the Northern.
In the voter bloc, NDC is not even about up to 50%. They are 45% in voter bloc.
45% of people you polled in the voter region were proud to say they associated with the NDC.
Yes.
Wow.
Voter put together.
There's a problem there.
There's a problem.
There's a big
it tells you allegiances. They can move elsewhere. They may have moved to maybe floating voters. They may still vote with you. But if
the 23% you talked about earlier is anything to go by, I think it explains why it's 45%.
Yes.
If it looks at that, both parties in their strongholds are growing more floating voters than hardcore party. Yes, supporters. That's what is beginning to happen.
And that is a message that they should understand. If they don't get it now, I don't know when they will get it.
So that if they don't get it, it will get to a point where there won't be anything like strongholds anymore.
No.
It will be battlegrounds.
It's going to be transactional basis.
What can you do for me?
That's all. And that's what we are seeing. If you mess up in the performance, absolutely you mess up in the election. It's no longer about allegiance and kind of.
So the blind allegiance days are giving way.
They are gone because we remember 78% of the voters are below 44 years.
Yeah, right. Okay, so to put it in context.
Yeah.
Right. So these are discerning voters. They read in between the lines.
And mostly with senior high and tertiary qualifications.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yes. Based on the numbers that the numbers in the report, there are more educated people who you are speaking to, and they can analyze things better. Now, region's contribution to MPP base ranked. Why is this important?
It's very important. Okay. Today, if you lined up 100 MPP voters across the country, you will find that 24% of them come from Ashanti region.
Okay.
Another 24 come from Greater Accra. So Greater Accra together provide about 48% of all MPP voters.
Okay.
So if you are not doing well in Greater Accra and Ashanti region, you are not winning the election.
Right.
If you look at the NDC, Greater Accra accounts for 26% of their voters.
Yes, 26%.
Followed by Central, 12%. Ashanti region, 11%. So their number is not heavily concentrated on two regions. They have diversified portfolio of.
So they have a better spread.
Better spread.
So then what it means is that it will be difficult for one particular region to
help you win election for NDC.
Yes, for the NDC.
You need a broader coalition of regions to win. And MPP is not surprising because if they rack up the numbers if you add Ashanti, Greater Accra, and Eastern region together, you are getting a good number, about 50%.
About 50%. So that explains why the MPP will always tell you that once we're able to get our people out
in
Ashanti, Bono, and perhaps Greater Accra, they're home and dry. So they only need three regions. In fact, it should have been two, but now that they're losing grounds in their own home region, which is their strongholds, then it means that they need more. They need another region.
Yeah.
And you notice that the NDC is also working very hard to adopt Central and Western, because I think they've noticed what's happening in the Volta region, where numbers are also beginning to go down. Now, whether they appreciate why the numbers in the Volta are going down, so they can deal with this, or it's another matter. Okay, but perhaps you can explain that they've noticed that depending on one region, and it's just my thoughts.
It's a wrong strategy.
It's a wrong strategy. You have to spread your base or your followership across the country, so that it gives you comfort, doesn't it?
It does.
It gives you comfort. So you talk about Greater Accra, you talk about Ashanti region, because I'm looking at the how do you call it, the graphs. You're talking about Ashanti region, you're talking about Greater Accra region, and then you have Northern region, isn't it?
Yeah.
Followed by Western region,
yes,
and then Volta region, and then Upper East region. That's for the NDC. Okay, no, that's for the what you call the region's contribution to MPP base rank.
So if you look at the MPP, about 10% come from Eastern region now.
Okay.
7% come from the Northern region. Western is about 5%.
Okay.
And Central region about 7%.
Okay.
So if you look at the big numbers, regions that are accounting for more than 5% or 5% or more, you have Western region, you have Northern region, you have Eastern region, Central region, Greater Accra, and Ashanti. About 6 regions account for a big number. Let me see.
Yeah.
For MPP.
Okay.
And NDC, you need to add a lot more because they are not kind of concentrated on one or few regions.
Let me now, you know, the NDC touts itself as a more socially inclusive government. So that then takes us to the party affiliations gender. Now, the vice president, we all know, is a woman, female. And I recall that when the choice was announced, one of the things that the president at the time, candidate John Mahama, said was that the NDC was a more socially inclusive government, and you know how that reflects in the party's policies and so on and so forth. Let's look at what the polls are saying as far as party affiliations are concerned, the gender, male, female.
Look, there's not much between them. Okay. Nationally, when it comes to MPP, male voters, 25% of them support MPP, and 46% support NDC. 17% say they are floating voters. UP 1%, Alliance Martin guys, 2% other parties, and 10% of males say they will not disclose.
Okay.
When it comes to the women, MPP is slightly high in terms of compared to men. About 26% of them are female, and this is linked to the free education policy that was implemented. We've seen this data across many times. There are more people, more women who tend to support MPP than the men in terms of when you do comparison. The NDC is 44% female now. They've been behind some time. I think they're catching up a bit.
You mean the NPP?
The NDC, sorry, the NDC. When it comes
I've
to
seen 46%.
in the past, I'm saying in the past,
okay,
yes. So they kind of improving
Okay.
on the number of women who say they are NDC, and it tends to be linked with education. Whatever happens in education affects women mostly because of the senior high school, the pressure of having to support kids in school really fall on women. So you can see that women are moved more by education than any other key issues of voting. When it comes to floating voters, almost at par 17% men and 16% female. So not much in terms of the two political parties.
Even though the choice of Professor Jane hasn't really impacted that positively.
No, I mean
on affiliations.
See, we are talking about new generation of voters. So
yeah.
The Gen Zs and those 44. It's not about agenda. It's transaction.
It's transaction.
It's transaction.
What are you giving me?
Those who will be moved by gender and those sentimental issues are older voters, and they are becoming smaller and smaller in the population.
Yeah. So let's look at party affiliation in terms of age.
And this is where things get a bit tricky for MPP again. Among people who are 18 to 24 years, 22% of them say they are MPP, openly MPP. And this is 44%. For those who say they are 25 to 34, 50% are NDC. So the youth, the big, the loud Gen Z group, MPP 20%. Among those 35 and 44, NDC is 43%, MPP 25%. Now, as the population gets older, MPP number begins to go up. Between 45 and 54, NDC is 40%, MPP 32%. Between 55 and 64, NDC 40, MPP 34. And above 65, NDC is 45, and MPP 31. So you can see that aging profile of the MPP voters tends to age as you move up. Whereas NDC is much younger.
Okay.
And this is something that they must really watch, because look, you must be appealing to the future more than appealing to the people who are fading out.
Wow. So even in crafting policies for both political parties,
look at this, the demography. Moro, it's about demographic. Once you understand the demographic, you'll be right.
But if what you're saying is anything to go by, which is now politics has become more transactional for this generation, and you talk about the Gen Zs, why hasn't free SHS impacted on these numbers? Because at least the NPP has given the younger one something.
The free senior high school policy was a double-edged sword.
Okay.
We lumped every voter into one basket and assumed they all have the same needs. They don't.
That's true.
The low-income voters care more about the free. And then the high-income voters care about the quality.
What is it, middle to high?
Middle to high, quality. Free education was more of a free than the quality. And unfortunately, Ghana moving from a lower middle income country means that there are fewer people who are poor than those who are middle and upper income. So if you appeal to those in the middle and upper income, the votes are there. If you appeal to those who are in the lower income, the votes are shrinking. So you make a choice as to what you should emphasize on. I think if there has been emphasis on quality, the vote impact would have been significant. Especially after the first 4 years. Before the first 4 years, there was a bit of wait and see, things would improve. But beyond that, people saw the entire program and began to really analyze the quality of it and also the free element. And they made a decision that, look, I don't think we like what we see. And that's why it wasn't a potent political campaign promise or policy that gave them anything in the last election.
Musa, there's a lot to talk about. There's party affiliation age, role percentage, party affiliations education, party affiliations education role percentage, there's party affiliation employment status, the gender education, there's party affiliations religious role percentage, party affiliations, Christian denomination, party affiliations, Christian denominations row, and there's party affiliations, Islamic sects. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I wish time was our best friend so we can go through all of this. But if somebody's watching this one and wants to go and consume this information, where can he find this report?
I will later put it on our website.
Okay. Right. That's good.
But the media houses have them.
Oh, they have them. Yes, that's true. If you want a copy to, let me know. I'll send it to you. We'll take a short break. Musa, thank you so very much for your time. It's been
Hoover that ran 6 cities 35 pesos, and around that time $1 was 6 cities 20 pesos. Because we were already in another crisis. That was a global supply crisis coming from COVID. And we shouldn't forget that September 2019, inflation was 7.6.
Yeah.
And then even 2019, it ended with 7.9, and we thought we were doing very well. But because of these shocks, inflation January 2022 was 13.9. But we entered February, the very month that they entered Ukraine, Russia entered Ukraine, and it went up to 15.7. And the year ended with 54%, the highest inflation in about 27 years.
Right.
And so these shocks, we see them all the time. They are not new to us. Yeah, but how well are we prepared? And that's where I agree with my brother. Since 1957 as a country, we haven't been that serious. We haven't been serious. We depend so much on what people have produced. We were just like Singapore or South Korea in the early 1960s. We were just like them when South Korea, when they were talking about Samsung and all those other things. We also were talking about Akasanoma.
Yeah.
Today where is our Akasanoma? Everything here is Samsung. You see what I'm using.
Right.
And we depend so much. Raw materials, yes. Look at cocoa. I talk about cocoa all the time. And the last time I checked, cocoa contributes about $15 billion.
That's a lot.
To global GDP. 15 billion. In Ghana, on average, we supply about 20% of the beans. Cote d'Ivoire, almost about 40%. And so if you do the calculation, Ghana should be getting between 25 to 29 billion from, the 15 billion. But what happens? We get around 2 billion because we send almost everything raw to countries such as Switzerland.
We don't add value.
We don't add value. That's what my brother was talking about. Switzerland, every year they will get on average 13.5 billion from cocoa. They don't grow cocoa. Belgium, about 14 billion from cocoa. Holland and all those, they are making so much. US gets, more income from cocoa than any other country.
Right.
About $20 billion a year. And you sit here, you are not, you are so comfortable with selling everything in raw. And that is why we are not creating jobs. Right. Sometimes when people speak against our lecturers, I call myself one that we are not too good because we are not able to produce students who go out there and create jobs, but we are producing students who will be chasing jobs. Yes, to some extent, I wouldn't say we are excellent, but then the economy also has something to do with why people don't get jobs. Because even if you don't have certificate and go to US today, tomorrow there's something there for you to do. Because almost every step on your way, there's a factory producing something.
True.
And here we are, we go to China, and we use dollars to buy toothpick, timber pot, and all those things that we 69 good years. 69 years. And so our economy is not resilient at all. We are so fragile. Because almost everything that you are using, what you are eating, what you are wearing, and look around us, almost everything is all imported. And so when anything happens to those countries where you import these commodities, obviously it's going to affect you. But the whole question is, what are we going to do about that? Enough of the talks. I think it is time for action.
Okay.
If you look back to the economy, or all the economies historically have transitioned from primary sector to the secondary,
right,
before the tertiary. And my brother talked about the rare sector. That's where you get to develop the base. you know, the agricultural sector does so well. Later, it gives way to the secondary, that the industrial sector, and the industrial sector gives way to what? The tertiary. In our situation, and not only Ghana, this is almost very common to almost all the emerging market economies. You know, we have now moved from primary to tertiary.
Okay.
So we call that in economics leapfrogging. You know, and so the manufacturing is not working.
Yeah.
And we import virtually almost everything. And you are not creating jobs in the process. You know, of course, tertiary trading is doing very well with job creation.
Yeah.
I mean, at the tertiary. But I think the manufacturing sector will help us to build a resilient economy. And I would want to say that if you read the 24-hour economy that my brother talked about,
right,
it's so rich. You know, there are a lot of things in that particular document. They have what they call Make Ghana.
Right.
Make Ghana is seeking to bring Ghana back from the tertiary to the secondary.
Right.
So the manufacturing, especially the manufacturing sector, to create more jobs there. And when you are able to produce more, you cut what? The import. I mean the import. You know, when you cut the import, and that's why, you know, I've always I've been almost everywhere saying that the current appreciation of the cedi is what? Artificial. And as my brother said, we've seen it before. 2022, when we started with $1 going for cedis and 20 pesos, what happened? Bank of Ghana came to the market to protect the cedi. By July, $1 was going for around 8 cedis, 20 pesos. But August, September, October, when Bank of Ghana could not come to the secondary forest market to protect the cedi as they did for the first 7 months, what happened to the cedi? Before we could say that October, $1 was going for 17 cedis in the forest market. But in the interbank, it was a little over what? 15 cedis. When later we got more dollars, what did we do? They pumped. And by by December 2022, $1 interbank was 8 cedis.
The government tells them, I mean, this
was 8 cedis.
Right.
So what you're saying is not
it's not entirely new argument. And you're right that you've been on record to have made this argument on other platforms. But the government's response and the government's explanation or the government's reaction to this argument is that there's a twin approach that the government has adopted in running this economy. One, which is exporting a lot of gold, right? You decided to, when I say you, I mean the previous government decided to reserve this gold, a lot of it, and you exported some, but you reserved more. This government has a different approach. So let's export more of the gold to be able to rake in forex. Now, that's one. But the government will also tell you that one other main policy intervention has to do with what it calls fiscal discipline. Look at the number of ministers who have been hired. Look at the number of CEOs, etc., etc. The government will tell you that they've been more careful. They've been more cautious in public expenditure, which has had an impact on our fiscals. So if you attribute the strength of the currency in the past, as you rightly said, to just the fact that, you know, we had problems with exporting some of our raw materials, and so that cedi sort of plummeted. Would that be entirely accurate?
Yeah,
because the government says it's learning from some of the past mistakes.
So let me say this quickly. Okay. It's not, when we say the government size, it hasn't got to do with only the system ministers you have.
Okay.
So if you have presidential staffers responsible for 16 regions,
right,
or NDC former organizers or so, if I'm right,
yes,
are now presidential staffers responsible for their regions,
right,
and they are.
So out of all of that,
I mean, if you do that and check the budget, if you check the budget, you will see that when we had the so-called big government, the so-called elephant-sized government, and now there's no difference. I was waiting to see a drastic reduction in the government and machinery, what goes there. But that is not what we are saying. In fact, if nothing at all, 2025 one is far higher than 2024.
Felix,
you know, and so sometimes
Felix Kuchukwati tells us that we should wait till the government.
No, now the figures that are available.
Yes, the figures are available.
In fact, if you look at their projections, the projection was even over 500 million.
Okay.
Against I think 200 something. I've forgotten the figure.
In terms of what? Compensation.
For for the old government, their government size.
Right.
It was it hovered between 200 to 300.
Okay.
But this one, the projection was 500.
Right.
When it is projected at 500, over 500, it doesn't mean that is actually what is happening,
Right.
because the main government budget was 269 billion.
Okay.
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 During the media review, they revised it downwards to 250
Right.
billion. And during the SONA, I had something like 194 billion,
Okay.
the total expenditure. So it means that governments had decided last year, April, to spend 269 and could spend about 194. Look at the gaps. So many things they said they would do, they couldn't do.
So your question is, we need, and I have yet to see these figures, but the government would have to explain what makes up for the difference. That if you have a smaller number of appointees, how come your compensation figures are higher?
We are waiting.
Okay.
We are waiting for the last figures.
Okay.
And some of us, we make, that's the meaning of APL. We'll come out and question.
All right.
Yeah, but let me quickly say this. I made mention about the fact that
we've seen this in the past.
24-hour economy document is very good. People listening to me. If you look at the document, and you read from the first page to the last page, that is our solution. It's so good.
You have endorsed it.
Seriously. But I have a problem with it. You know why? It is not too different from Rawlings's Vision 2020.
Really?
If you look at Rawlings's Vision 2020 that was supposed to be implemented from January 1996 to the year 2020.
Yes.
We were supposed to become a middle-income country.
Yes.
You know, go and look at the key pillars, and they are there.
Right.
Kufuor came, I'm a former President Kufuor, he also brought in Ghana Poverty Reduction Strategy. PIPA 1, we had GPRS 2. The pillars, the same. Then, Professor Mills came, Ghana Shared Growth Development Agenda 1 and 2. They say Ghana Beyond Need Agenda. In fact, I'm telling you, that some of the sentences are even repeated. Repetition.
But there's nothing new under the sun.
So my question is, if we have all these beautiful documents, and we are still where we are, that's where I don't have.
So it's not the idea, it's the implementation.
That's what exactly. But that is also not to suggest that this book cannot implement it.
Right.
But if you ask my opinion.
Okay. So you're back to my statement. There's nothing new under the sun. But Prof, you said something which I thought I should ask you a follow-up question on. Your issue is that our decision, our policy decision to strengthen the cedi. Now, whether or not it's forced or not is another conversation we can have. But we'll strengthen the cedi. Now, that in itself has come with its own consequences. But you are also right when you say that in economic management, there's always a trade-off. So it depends on what direction you want to take and whether you're ready to deal with the consequences of whichever policy prescription you are implementing. And you mentioned, for instance, cocoa prices and the fact that farmers are saying that what is coming to them is not enough. And exporters will tell you that what they get in terms of their revenues when they export has sort of dwindled. But there's a counter argument. The counter argument is that in terms of the real incomes of these people who are getting these monies, you would notice that they are better off today. Now, if you take the cocoa farmer, for example, you're a cocoa farmer, you sold, say, last year or 2 years ago, you made, say, 10,000 cedis. Today, you're making 5,000 Ghana cedis. But that's not enough. Because what you're earning is only a means to a certain end. And what is that end? You are going to use the money to buy items within here in Ghana. Now, if those items, the prices of those items have reduced, aren't you better off? So if you're a cocoa farmer, you want to go and buy, say, a bag of cement. If you used to earn 10,000 cedis from selling a bag of cocoa, and say a bag of cement is say 200 Ghana cedis. Today a bag of cement is say 100 Ghana cedis. So in terms of your real income, you are better off. So the argument about what you're getting when you export, as against what you used to get in the past when the cedi was hovering around say 14, 15, dollar to a cedi or 14 something cedis to a dollar. The argument is neither here nor there. How do you explain, or what are your thoughts on this argument that I've heard some of your colleagues in the economics profession make?
I think it will be difficult for anybody to make the argument that real incomes have increased.
How? How so?
Because if you take your example,
Yes.
but the inflation number doesn't tell us that average prices or cost of living has reduced. It doesn't.
It doesn't. Because it's not a deflation.
It's not a deflation.
It's a disinflation.
It's a disinflation.
And there's a difference.
Yes, because what has happened is that prices, the rate at which prices were increasing has reduced. But there's no question that the cost of living is still going up. It's just that it's going up slowly. So you can't tell any person that, oh, any farmer, that oh, you are receiving at this rate, and therefore, because inflation has reduced, your incomes have gone up. No.
But
Nominal incomes are reducing.
Okay.
Prices are still rising. So it's difficult to make the argument.
But
And
isn't it also true that depending on what item you intend to use that income to buy, you may be an ultimate beneficiary?
Absolutely right. But you see, there's a reason why we calculate inflation the way we do.
Okay.
Because you know that you buy different things. Some of them, the price may have reduced. Some of them, the price may have been the same.
Okay.
Some of them, the price may have gone up.
True.
So when we average everything out, and we weigh them based on your expenditure shares, it tells us that the overall number is that inflation has reduced, but prices haven't reduced.
Oh, so you're saying that a more scientific benchmark to be able to tell whether your real income has gone up or not is to align with inflation and not the specific items that you're buying. Is that the case?
That's really what inflation applies for the economy as a whole. But that's not to say, if you take a farmer, and assuming that it's a farmer that usually is primarily home production, or they consume what they produce, then even then, what has happened is that, you see, if the farmer is one who sells and the prices of the food items have gone up, then obviously, in that case, and he's not buying anything off the market whose prices have gone up, you can't really say that they are better off, because then the nominal income they are receiving has reduced. But let's go to the broader picture about the export businesses. You know, there's the businessman who is exporting cannot come and tell the workers that, oh, the currency has appreciated. Therefore, what you are getting in nominal, what you are getting in CD terms is lower, so I will pay you less. They've signed contracts, they've signed agreements with their partners, and they have to respect. So I think you cannot underestimate the impact of the appreciation on them. And then the importation. I think that if you look at last year, I'll give you the example of what we heard about rice farmers.
Okay.
And that gives you a clear case of what the appreciation has done.
Okay.
We've been complaining about domestic rice production. Last year, rice production did brilliantly. But what happened? Because the currency has appreciated so much, the imported rice became so cheaper, and farmers were struggling to sell their rice.
Right.
Now that is a problem. It's a problem because the way farmers behave, if they invest this year and it generates a loss, and they struggle to sell, it becomes very difficult for them to reinvest the following year. So I think that, look, if you want to see the net gain,
won't the difficulty be dependent on the cost of buying the very items that they need to go back into farming?
So, okay, let's start the cycle.
Yes.
If you want
I spent 20 cedis on fertilizer.
If you want to nitpick,
yes,
let's start the cycle.
Okay.
If you look at, there's a long gap between the planting season and the growing season and the harvesting season.
True.
So if you look at last year, the planting season, first quarter, the currency was still around the 15, 14.
True.
And they would have already incurred that cost. And at the time they are trying to sell to turn around, they are struggling to sell. So if you bring in that timing argument, it's not obvious that, first they need to be able to sell, to repurchase the inputs that you are making the point that they are cheaper now.
True.
So, but you know, that is just even a partial equilibrium analysis. When we are looking at the impact of a policy, we don't just focus on the sector.
Right.
We look at the overall effect.
Okay.
Like I said, we have a fair idea how much the appreciation has saved the economy in terms of even our debt. Upward of around 120 billion.
Yeah.
Now, how much has it cost the exporters? How much has it cost cocoa butter? How much? So you have to put all of them together to be able to have a fair idea. But you know, making that, we are not going back. We have already, like I said, it's been done.
Yeah.
Whether we agree with it or not, this is the strategic choice, the policy choice that has been made.
Right. Okay.
The point is that having arrived here, let's not be resting on our laurels and start praising ourselves and say, oh, we have arrived, because we haven't.
Right.
The problem, the underlying problem that makes us so susceptible to external shocks.
Okay.
That problem has not been solved.
Okay. We will play the president's video where he talks about the fact that the economy is resilient. And so Ghanaians must be rest assured that the global shocks won't hit at that as hardly as it would have if it were in 2022. But before we do that, Doc, what do you make of the real income argument?
Yeah, I mean, before I also do that, let me just, add something to what my brother said. In this country, we always make this mistake that when inflation goes down, it means prices are going down. That is not true.
Yes.
The moment you hear the word inflation, it means prices are going up. If inflation happened to be zero, then prices are stagnating. What you bought last year, today you are buying them. Right. You know. Right. And as he rightly put it, we don't have one commodity. So I hear people say the cement that you used to buy today, it is this. No, if you do that, in fact, you are not doing academic analysis. Okay. Because we have over 307 or so items, commodities in the basket. Right. And so at any point in time, and it's not only recently, you know, that has always been the situation. Some of them, the prices will definitely go down. It doesn't even matter. 2022, when we recorded 54 headline, and year on year of 54, that month, December, some prices fell, you know. And so that's what happens. At any point in time, some of the commodities, their prices would go down, some of them will stagnate, some of them would increase. What we see is the average. That is telling us what is happening in the market. And so you don't tell somebody that you were receiving 3,100 2024. And at that time, I mean, inflation was 23. Today it has gone down to 3.3. For that reason, if you have almost 2,600, that is better. It's not true. It's not true. Because inflation is not negative. You know, you were talking about disinflation, you were talking about deflation. It's not deflation. And so, once it is at inflation, even if it is 1, it means that on average, what you bought about 12 months ago at 100, you are buying it at 101. Okay? And so, let us be very careful. And this argument, I have been on several platforms. Sometimes when you pick it, they will silence you. No, not everybody's an economist. So sometimes when it becomes so difficult for me, I just give up. Right. But if you meet somebody like Professor Asumi, and let me say, Prof is not a senior lecturer. We always make this mistake. He's not a senior lecturer. Right. He's associate professor. Okay? And so Legon lecturer, senior lecturer, associate professor, a full professor. He's associate professor. And so associate professor cannot be senior lecturer. I've seen that, so you guys should be checking. You guys should be checking this. You know. And so when you meet
associate professor,
so when you meet somebody like this man who understands how CPI is computed, and that is why elsewhere experts are left or are given that room to speak on issues. You know, unfortunately in Ghana, everybody is anywhere. Otherwise, when economics issue come, we need economists to discuss it. if other issues come, it's about health. You know, sometimes you call me and say, no, I can't comment on this.
Yes.
You know, when it is a political thing, I'm not a political scientist. If you ask me, I'm going to use my ideas that may not be the truth. You know, I will use my experience. But as an economist, he's not using his experience. He's using macro level experience. That's what he has learned.
Right.
You know, and so we have to be very careful. When I saw people moving from one cocoa farm to the other, teaching the cocoa farmers that they are now getting more with the 2,000, almost 2,600 compared to the, I mean, that is a big mistake. Okay. You know, and so it is not like that. And your question again?
No, the real income.
Yeah.
Real income argument.
Yeah. So the real income has the moment inflation is going up.
Yes.
It means that once it is 3.3, it is declining. But once it is 3.3,
okay,
and you were receiving, let's say, 100 cedis last year.
Yes.
And this year you are also receiving 100 cedis.
Yes.
What it means is that your real income has gone down, but nominal income is the same.
Yes.
But the real income has gone down. Exactly.
Okay.
And so anytime inflation.
Because inflation is eating a part of that income.
So when inflation is going up, you expect the increase in income to also go up proportionally or higher.
Okay.
If you want to stay afloat,
right,
it should be proportional.
To make up for.
If you want to do better, it should be higher. So sometimes governments pretend they have increased salaries, when in actual fact they haven't. Because I have always been talking about sometimes you hear 23% when inflation is 30%. You know, you haven't, because what you have brought
is a gap of 77%.
Exactly. So I mean, because Ghanaians, you know, almost all of us are suffering from money illusion, and so the moment the money goes up, we are happy, but we don't think so much about how much that money can buy. You know. Okay. And so but he says something. Okay. I've done that calculation, and let's go there quickly. Okay. About how CD appreciation has affected the cocoa farmer. Yes. You know, I'm not saying that government policy should only be about the cocoa farmer. Okay. But you see, Ghana, almost every year, on average, we sell 2 billion. We earn $2 billion from cocoa. Almost every year, on average. Okay. Now, last year around this time, $1. If Ghana government had earned $1 from cocoa, that would have been what? 15 cedis. Yes. Today, if they earn $1, that is what? About 11 cedis. So the difference is what? 4 cedis. Yes. If you multiply the 4 cedis by the $2 billion we have earned from cocoa in the last 12 months, that gives you what? 8 billion Ghana cedis. Okay. But we were owing cocoa farmers only 4.2 billion. Only 4.2 billion. And so that is how the exchange rate effect, the adverse consequences. You know, in as much as when you push more dollars into the system, and CD gains value, it helps with fuel, prices, pump prices will come down. It has its own positives, right, but it also has its own negatives. Okay. In August last year, GRA boss came to say that they were losing 30% of their targeted revenue. You know, so what they meant was that if they were seeking to rake in 100 cities, they were getting 70, and that is not surprised to hear that the initial budget of 269 billion that government was going to spend, they couldn't even spend up to 200 billion. And that is affecting all of us, because that's over 70 billion if government has spent. Some of them, maybe our salaries would have gone up, maybe a particular road would have been constructed. So many things. So economy, when you are managing economy, you need to create the balance. You know, as much as it is good, you pump more dollars to sustain the value of the city, you should have created the balance so you don't hurt the economy so much. And this caution, I was almost the first to say it on TV3 Key Point. I think either first or second week of June, and I was roasted that day because it wasn't easy. But you see, the very thing, when I made mention that city strength, because around 10 April last year, city $1 was going for 14 cities and 90 pesos. First week of June, it was 10 cities, 30 pesos. The city was the strongest currency in the world. I didn't celebrate it. I said, no, what we are saying is Bank of Ghana that is artificially, mechanically pumping the dollars. No, now I've got somebody, Professor Khaled is there, if I get the name right.
Yes, Professor Khaled.
He's
an economic
spokesperson for the bank.
Economic advisor.
Yeah, he wasn't comfortable with me at all. It is a certain fiscal consolidation. So, in fact, almost all the people on the program, my own brother Martin Pebu, Nelson, Dofia Mako, a certain fiscal consolidation. The president went all the way to Japan to tell the world that he's been able to use fiscal consolidation to arrest the city. Okay. You know, I don't have a problem with that. Fiscal, it is true that you can use fiscal and consolidation about fiscal prudence. Yeah. You know, and fiscal prudence is trying to match your revenues with your expenditure. So if you decide to reduce your expenditure as a government, you are the biggest spender in the economy. So if the government is not spending, you know, people otherwise would have gone out to import, and they are selling. Who is going to buy from them? So that edge of always chasing dollars and all that, chasing dollars and all that slows. So it is true. But 7 weeks for CD to drop from 14.9, 10th April to about 10.3 first week of June, it cannot be because of fiscal consolidation, even if it is playing part. Right. The major reason was the aggressive intervention, and recently BOG boss came to say that they have been aggressively intervening. But
here's the thing, don't fair.
And I call myself prophet because you see, because I said this, I was insulted. Right. And now the very things that I said on that program, that people insulted, threatening me, sending me messages. Sometimes I open my WhatsApp and I do enjoy the insult. But see, Jimmy, you know, I love it all. I mean, that's part of, you know. But at the end of the day, what people call me Jimmy for saying, the BOD boss has said it. And I sent a message to Alfredo Kansi. Okay. That, what are you telling your guys? Are they going to attack the BOD boss? Because as I admitted, that is aggressive intervention that has done what we are saying.
You felt vindicated?
Seriously, and now I'm prophet. Don't fail.
All right. I noticed you raise your hands.
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, I mean, it's a matter of attribution. Okay. But yes, the fiscal consolidation, it has helped. There's been substantial fiscal consolidation, right, if not for nothing at all. You see, the decision of the current administration to shift away from overemphasis on revenue by adding new taxes to more expenditure restraint, it's made an impact. I think you see that consumer confidence started going up, and the business confidence. That change of direction made an impact. Of course, but the intervention has been a big deal. Has been a big part of it. But you cannot completely say that.
But the central bank, Doc, has said it time and again that what it has done is not a financial intervention; it's a financial intermediation, and it's not new. It's something which is practiced. So we can talk about quantums, which is an entirely different argument.
Can I make a point on that? Can I make a quick point on that?
You disagree?
Yeah. So, no. Okay. Because that's also another point. When we say they are intervening, it doesn't mean we've not been doing that. Okay. In fact, currently, our exchange rate regime is managed floating exchange rate regime. True. And so once it is managed floating, the floating aspect is the demand and supply. Yes. Right? Yes. The demand and supply of foreign currency determine the strength of their local currency. And so if the demand is higher than the supply, CD suffers. True. And that is why periodically the bank enters. Yes. You know, so it's not as if they have not been doing that. Okay. And when we even started the program, when we started the current extended credit facility, May 2023, they told us not to supply more than 80 million. Because they did this so we could increase, the reserves over at least 3.2 months of import cover. But as it is stated by the West African Convergence Criteria. Yes. Let me say that exactly 3rd December, you can call, the then finance minister, Amin Anta, right?
Dr. Amin.
Yeah, so you can call him and ask him this. Exactly 3rd December, they met him during the staff level agreement with an IMF, and stated that now you've gotten almost 9 billion, and that is about 4 months import cover. Yes. So you are doing well now. You could what? Supply. At that time, $1 was over 16 cities. Yes. But you see, immediately they started pumping, and that's why the day Nana Akufo-Addo handed over power to His Excellency President Mahama, $1 was going for 14.70 pesos. Yes. That was the reason. You know, and so it's not new. That's why I also made reference to the fact that interbank exchange, October 2022, hovered a little about 15 cities. Yeah. But December, it had dropped to 8 cities. Okay. Because of that intervention, and when you do that, in fact, if the managed side, because the whole regime is floating manage. Yes. If the mandate is the reason for this stability, normally it is artificial. Okay. You can't control it. Right. It means that it is being determined, controlled by factors beyond your control. All right. Because for how long can you get more dollars to intervene? About 1 billion. Yes. I mean, you know, these days they do almost about 1 billion every month. Yes. For how long can you get that? And now you are talking about dollar going down. Now we have about 14.5 billion as our result. This is the highest nominal we've ever had. But that notwithstanding, if gold prices come down today, it's going to affect the bank's ability to intervene. And right away, you're going to, I mean, city is going to suffer. And so where lies the resilience?
Okay. So good. So then this question you've just posed then ushers us in into our next question. But before perhaps I ask that question, there's another interesting debate which is being waged by the two, again, major political parties, which is that the Middle East crisis is not different from what had happened to us in 2019 and 2022. We're talking COVID and we're talking Russia-Ukraine war. Now, there are some who say that there's fundamental differences, and there are some who are saying the two are the same in terms of happenings on the global stage and how that affects us as a country. Now, Prof, from where you sit, do you see any similarities between COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine war, and how it impacted on Ghana, and how the Middle East crisis is impacting us in this country? Now, in answering that, we also have to bear in mind that this is something that the president has said. Brad, let's play this video.
Brofo kasa mo resilience na meka say bibia efre brofo kasa mo resilience ewiase enyoma timisi te say ye wo ho a COVID-19 baye echire Russia Ukraine war wo ho a na bibia ba se wa ma usika semu anya den a sa nyoma ne ba na ama economy na bofom enti ya stability ewie ye pese ye ma yesika sem ye den economy ne ye den se ne be ya se hwan ni hwan na kontokwa se hwan na efu kontokwa ye economy no benya honden na etimi astande sa shock no na mi wogidie se enyoma ya toto no sa afi bakwin ama ya economy na enya honden enti war yi a Israel ni Iran ni hwan mo kwin nyame adom nti ya economy no ebetimi ejina.
All right, Doc, help us appreciate whether there's any basis to compare the two global events, and then maybe bring in the issue of whether we are a resilient economy. Are we there yet? Are we a resilient economy or just a stable economy?
Well, first of all, I don't think we cannot directly compare any two external shocks. Okay. They are never directly comparable. Right. Because each shock comes with its own specific context and timing in history and magnitude and direction of effect. Okay. So I don't, but frankly, if it's not for politics, I see no reason why we should try and compare them. Because don't forget that at the time of COVID, we really didn't have, there was relative stability on the international front before COVID actually started. Okay. So, then you can say the COVID had not completely died down when the Russia-Ukraine struck. Don't forget that Russia-Ukraine is still ongoing. And it's building on. Don't forget that Israel, Hezbollah, and the Palestinians, this has also been ongoing. And then this has come to lay on it. So I don't understand why anybody want to compare. Because look, COVID-19 and the measures that you were required to do, a shock that completely shuts down international travel and international logistics.
After marking baby, I will be a mere sure by no jagunichim because enjoy and I'm a kiss after your marking say Senka MPP for the Ghana for in an NDC for in a cotoa bar a beer in prim prayer a MPP a bear majority na NDC minority. But me sure says post we Musa Danquah Edia Bay. By now, or dream who to adi no quarry, ana enye no quarry, no quarry, ana enye no quarry. No kwasi me wom ni say Ghana for at this crucial moment we enu omo ho da so mo to aba edima NDC. Obi obeka cho say Ghana ni bia o to aba edima NDC at this moment enu no ho sorry to aba NDC no na ni pakro entro any cheap propaganda enoyo. Sani se hunti enyema Ghana for gina so edit to aba NDC anye bi akra ne omoba yi yehu tip of it. First okase obetwa e-levy COVID-19 emission tax betting tax yo mahama ntwamu ana wetwam. Secondly 24-hour economy 24-hour economy has started some of the sectors oko habo ana meboa eho has started a lot of companies has started nansi kwa matise kwa minta kando wadi nse bia betu dwa se oko kwalebu ana kwalebu stand to be corrected oko OPD only patients department the whole mobile running 24-hour service a mobile running 24-hour service. You get it? So it tells you say every single thing on Bayano Hubiano it will be run on day-to-day basis. It will be run on day-to-day basis. What I say? And 24-hour economy no very soon. In fact, Omoka say operation will cover all the loot. You know who you can who say operation will cover all loot no. Who say sabe omugusu omo ne nkofo. I mean omo di nkofo ne na nkop chama wuntu so ntamu media no so nko no ampo kwotena ne TV station ha. Anye bi akra dia asade obese bia na se sebi brofu hunu di obeka bia mo ati. Na nkanye ni se chama wuntu mesi ape chairman national chairman. But then because of the court case, the court case intino na so say ayeshi papa awo utwa ne ho enye yi ogine ho baabia enje so it tells you it tells you how NDC for any abro mo hihye nti obi tena baabi ka se MPP for say Ghana for any omo so moto aba enye no kwada omo ankasa te wono munya sebenka ena omo afa nsem bia enhye dan hia nsem bia eni kwan so moka ena omo asina konkon anadom prene ne nkrofo ena omo di nam nkurase nanka anye ni se opanyo sa kokoro sa branti obekwa kojan se ka kira wata ne se mahama odi aka wati na mecho na se enka anye sa nima wi eni bi hunu ho Ghana. But because of propaganda, our muatnasi adwene hu se saade hu ombeye den ombeye ntino. That is why we are where we are now. Enti owura Musa Danquah wa ya de memmo MPP ni bia mfa nhye na adwene se Ghana ni oto aba edema NDC ne sambe wonu no ho da bi onyanu ne ho. Even when he or she will regret, right? It is not the time. The time has not come yet. The time will come will bra NDC yamomu for years. Na ye hu se sa nima omukan no they are not what doing it. Omunye for example operation recover all it yen so bia them and as yen any activeness in that cases no honom na uwo point e for now there the MPP ni asem to ho bleeding is allowed, they can bleed. Bleeding is allowed. Let them bleed because Ghana no sebi. Ye na idea. Microphone kwa dia opa biti maka de ope. But the reality is Ghana for no mo. Ghana for mo trouble mind this no mo adwuma popio. Omo ni ndo mo ye and they still have hope in this government. Period. Bye bye.